Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? This is Kyle Leaf Wins, host of the Making Better Track Show. I'm here with a very, very special production guest. Let me tell you about this guest right now. Beats by Lonza. Check him out on YouTube. Great MPC based producer, just all around great producer. He has a lot of insight, a lot of information to share, a lot of great things going on, and I most definitely want to bring him to the platform so I can share with everybody here. Check out his project, Blessings by Zay 2 on Spotify. You can also check him out because he's the CEO of Ivy League Entertainment, which began in 2001 with DJ and artist development, mixing and mastering and recording services. Now with over 2 decades of experience in the entire industry. And you can see his tracks and his services at beatsbylonzo.com. Everybody, give it up to Beats by Lonzo in the house. Everybody give it up to Beats by Lonzo in the house. Your man has literally the I wish list of production gear right behind him. What's going on, fam?
What's up? Thank you for being on the show.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure. But like I always do when I interview people, I like to show people, hey, it's not just my opinion. Check out what he's done. So let me bring this up here and let me just show people just a piece of what you've done directly from your channel. Look at the gear. The 61 is right there. Your man literally has Guitar Center going on with his production. Has 2 decades of production skills. Great. We're going to go into our lightning round of questions where I'm just going to ask you random questions. Say the first thing that comes to your mind, and let's keep it moving. Bet. Ready?
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Number 1, first question. If an artist says, hey, I need you to make my entire album in a month and you can only bring 2 pieces of gear, what gear would you bring and why?
MPC Live 2 and MPC 1.
Oh, that's great. Second question. What is your dream piece of gear now currently?
Dream piece of gear would be the 1200.
Oh, the Rossum?
The Ross and the new one.
Understood. If anybody has $4,000 laying around, they want to donate to both me and Lonzo, please, most definitely. God bless you. We receive it and believe it. All right. Third question. Who were the 3 producers you looked up to the most growing up?
Good question. I'd say Kanye. Old Kanye.
Yeah, old Kanye. Great differentiation.
Beats by the pound.
Yeah.
Master P and all of those guys. Jermaine Dupri.
Facts. Super facts. Last question. If you can add any feature, any few features to the MPC or any piece of software that's your desired software, what would you add? And you're asking yourself, why don't they add these features? I hit you with a thought process question.
That's a good one. Here's what I think. With the new MPC, like the MPC 1, I would have kept a hard drive slot, and I would have put a battery in it. For the MPC key one, they should have kept an SD card.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that decision.
All I did was use the USB power SD card, so and put it in the spot, so that worked for that. But what would I add on the MPC that they did not put? I think the capability to like on the Force, you can't use the Force in the MPC software. So I think that if you're able to always work in the software, that would have been a better option than standalone.
Yeah, I was literally about a couple weeks almost about to buy the Force, because I literally have been in Ableton for like 13 years. Like if you put me on a desert island and say work with art, and I have produced tracks with just my fingers and Ableton and a laptop because I knew how to use the, press the caps lock, and you can use it in keyboard mode. I've made mad tracks that way on Ableton, and that's one thing I didn't understand why they didn't put in the new software when it came to release with the new Key 37 or even an MPC XXC was the linear view. I just give us the linear view. Like it's not that hard. It's like give us the linear view. We don't care about the grid view. Just give us the linear view. Because that's one thing I'm coming to grips with, because I don't know if you heard before, the person who started the MPC Key group had to sell all this gear when I have my son who's not about to be 10 months. Yeah. And I just have the MPC studio right now, and living in the software is a mind meld. Ditching all external gear and just being in the software after working in Ableton and then working in Logic and living in Studio One to mix and master. It's just like you just have to put your mindset into a not a limited mode, but kind of like this is an adjustment. Huge adjustment.
It's a learning curve. It's definitely a learning curve. I say the same thing about Ableton. I have to push 3 in Ableton, and I have the hardest time wrapping my brain around Ableton.
Really?
Yeah. I have my heart. I can make music in it, but the music that I'm making is not what I make on the MPC.
Mm-hmm.
It's more just like soundtrack vibes when I'm in the push. I can't make hip hop rap in Ableton. But I'm slowly. I've only been in about 6 months to a year, so I'm slowly figuring it out. But MPC Akai is it.
Yeah, it's all about comfort and it's all about workflow. And speaking of that, you, my friend, have a Key 61, and did you invest in a Key 37?
No,
not yet.
It's redundant.
Oh, for your gear needs.
Because I have no room.
Mm-hmm.
I have. You can't see my camera, but I have studio on this side, and on this side of my studio, I have more equipment on that end.
Mm-hmm.
So having a 37 is just like when I'm gonna have time to move from the other machine.
Yeah, I understand. Like I don't have both sides of the room, but literally, that's what my studio looked like before I had my second kid, and then responsibilities hit, and I was like, yo, let me create space. Creating space is an issue. And just flipping gear, and things of that nature. Like, I want you to tell everybody, since you have all this gear, tell them about your services and what led you to be like, you know what, I can really do this. Like, what was the decision point you went from hobbyist to professional and saying, I can do this and I have a talent and skill level? Because I think a lot of producers don't click that switch. They stay in hobbyists, and imposter syndrome gets at us mentally. A lot of us doubt what we can do, and we don't think that we can work in a professional capacity. Exactly why I posted what I posted earlier. I said, why is it that some producers are pessimistic about working at and earning a living as a full-time producer, whereas others are actually doing it? How did you make the switch from, hey, I like doing this, to no, I can create a business and a living out of this?
Well, like I told you earlier, I started out at the military. So being added to the military, I had a paycheck on the first and the 15th every month. And whatever extra money I had, I would put that into my studio.
Mm-hmm.
As I got to the retirement age and getting out of the military, I still was engineering and recording artists, and I felt like the artists at the time needed to put more time and money into their talent. And so as the recording artists started to diminish a little bit, I felt like I can give more of myself to the community because I was doing both producing and engineering, producing. And so I say, you know what? I need to count on myself to count on artists all the time.
Preach. You better preach to that. Say that one more time again for the people in the back.
To count on myself. So I had to bank on myself. So once I retired, I did work for a little bit, and I talked to my wife and said, hey, I think I just want to use it full time. Said, do your thing. So I still have my retirement coming in, and my wife works corporate, so that kind of makes it easier for me to maneuver and do this full time. And so that's the blessing of that. And I understand, the people that won't jump off the edge and do this full time because it is saturated. The field is saturated, and everybody wants to be a producer. So now it comes to who is the best of the best, and who can produce a product that is going to push everybody into the new millennium.
Because I'm glad you brought up that point, because I think that a lot of producers don't realize that there are other lanes in production in a full-time capacity. Like me, I'm a sound designer. I have a sound pack store. I'm a social media manager as well, and then I work with DJs and producers. That's another provided service. Like me, I'm monetized on these apps, and I get paid off, certain pages and things of that nature. I stopped DJing as much because I used to DJ corporate events, but when I did, that was great money. But I'm more into a passive incline right now, being a first-time father of 2. Just had a new son, then a 9-year-old. Thank you so much, and thank you for your service to this country, because my God, you juggled learning production while being in the services, then coming out. You went through like 3 transitions, huge life transitions. And I know that producers need to understand that it's not about blowing up or catching up with the Joneses of the industry. You can actually make a full-time living doing what you love to do. I got friends, like you probably have friends, or you yourself, who are engineers, and they get off when they open a Pro 2 session. They be like, yo, I just love to mix. I'm the brain about mixing and mastering. Let me knock these things out. And other people are more into creating VSTs and plugins, but there's so many opportunities for producers to make a full-time income. And that's one of the reasons I'm glad to bring you up, especially with the comment. Yo, when you comment, I was like, yo, this is exactly why I wanted to talk to you too. It's one of the reasons I want to talk to you. But let's get back to the MPC key. I had a conversation with Quick Strike. I don't know if you're familiar with Quick Strike, great West Coast producer. He has a YouTube channel as well. And he brought it up too, that it's something about, because I don't think he had the Key 61, but he just got his first MPC with the keys, the 37. And he comes from a traditional gear setup like I grew up on, like classic MPC, racks, and then keyboards into it via MIDI and things of that nature. But he said when he got the key, it just let loose in a different way. So when you got the key, how did it help you, like, really, like, just have more of a different type of fun than you wouldn't versus the Force or the Machine and other gear pieces?
Well, I'm not a classically trained pianist, and my goal in my studio is always to be able to play the keys. And so 61 makes me sit down in front of the keys and figure out the chords and play what I want to play. And so I don't know what it is about it. I know the buttons are softer. The layout is different than the other MPCs. The makeup, the inner workings of it is the same, of course, but it's just something about the inner of it that my sound is totally different. I don't even want to touch any other piece of equipment when I get on the 61. Like I get on the 61, I create 5 beats, and then I get out the studio. And then at night I go to my bedroom. I have my live 2 over there in my bedroom, and when I have free time at night, I grab the live 2 in my lap and rock out.
Yeah, that was the biggest transition from when I got the Key 61. I didn't think I was going to fall in love with a touch strip. I fell in love with the touch strip. And like I found myself, muscle memory, instead of looking at 16 pads and buttons, because I had the X and the 61. And my first MPC was the MPC in your sweater. Please show the hoodie. Show the MPC in the hoodie. That's what I'm saying. Where can people get that at? Please plug.
I have a website, beatsbylonze.com. I sell all my beats on there. I have go to my podcast on there, and I also have merch. And everything that I do is right on my website. So if you want to get some merch, man, Lonze merch, I got it out there. T-shirts, Grind 329 podcast. I have merchandise for that out there as well. So please help me out.
Now, for sure, please support independent producers and musicians. That's a fact. You were touching on something. Sorry for me getting overexcited about the 61. Let me ask you a question. If somebody's and again, sometimes when I talk about the MPC key and stuff like that, and people think that I work for a Kai, I do not. Ideally, I would like to. I would like to, but I do not. But I noticed, I never forget, I brought an artist. The first time I got the key, I brought an artist to my home studio, and he's a producer as well. And he got on the key, and you saw his mind shift. He's like, I grew up on MPCs. I know how to do this. But then when he stood over the key, it was awkward because it was forcing him, and he plays keys. He was like, yo, this is a weird feeling. Like, I'm in this brain, my MPC brain at the top of the MPC key, but when the keys are so prevalent that it's forcing me to focus on my other musical side brain, and then I'm adding them together. And basically, the whole session was him on the key. He just ignored me because he was just fascinated by the two systems of production thought. And now I see you have a machine back there. You told me you have the Force. I can see the old school Ren, I'm assuming, back there. And then you said you have the Push. What do you feel about especially coming from a machine workflow to go to the MPC? What was that like?
I was in love with machine, and I would have never moved machine. But the hype of the Akai was all over the internet. And I said I do myself a disjustice if I never tried any Akai product. And so it wasn't that I was finished with machine and I would never touch it again. I just wanted to try the Akai products and see if I could use it. And once I touched it, it's sad to say I never went back to things like I did previously.
Yeah, that's a cold turkey workflow switch. A lot of people can't make that switch. Now, I know a lot of people on the internet would say, oh, it's nothing. If you know one DAW on one system, you can. I hate when people pull stuff like that. I'm like, bro,
that's not true.
Because I'm used to.
You know some things.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know some things, but it's a different workflow. It's designed by different people to work differently. That's the whole purpose of being a total different piece of equipment, because it's built toward their way of doing business. Machine. I have to give it up to machine. I spent a couple years watching YouTube videos and in learning how to use machines. It wasn't really clicking. It was my first hardware. But looking at people like Knox Square.
Yeah, Knox Square for sure.
He's a guru on machine, and he also was using Akai too. But he kind of put me in the mindset of this is how you can use it and make it work. It did make it work for me. But the sound that I got out of the MPC totally did it for me.
Oh, don't talk about sound. Oh my God. If anybody says anything about sound, the world will explode. Oh my God, converters. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Yeah, I'm just being a clown right now. But yeah, like
that's all good.
The sound Knox, and you talked about Knox Square, and I asked this question to anybody that's on my show. When it comes to producers, we all know we have to diversify our portfolio. We have services, we sell beats. You know, you have a service for 2 decades going strong, and I'll explore that a little bit more so later, as we mentioned earlier. But what led you to say, you know what, I'm doing my thing with my services and my business and my production? What led you to make the decision to start your YouTube channel?
Well, I had a YouTube channel since 2004, and I was doing like what they do now is kind of like a TikTok and all that kind of stuff. I used to do that kind of stuff way back then. Like I do journaling on my YouTube page, and back then I was throwing shows and parties. So what I would do is I'd take video when I go out to all those places, and then I'd post it to my YouTube. And so then as I started producing more and getting into like the hybrid studio, I figured that I needed to make my mark in the community where I'm showcasing what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a business card to the world to show, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made it's progressively grew over the years. Like last 2 years, I put my everything into YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was working at Instagram and TikTok and all those other places, but it's too much at once. I wanted to kind of hone it down to one lane,
Mm-hmm.
which would be more productive. I figured YouTube would be more more into where I was trying to guide um my community.
Well, like, pardon the social media manager in me. As soon as you started talking about platform centralization instead of spreading yourself too thin and going directly forward, let me ask you a question from again, because we're producers, but we're also businessmen. Can we get an amen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We're producers, but we're also businessmen. Out of all the platforms, yeah, you're concentrating on YouTube now, but within your years of social media and you're putting yourself out there as a producer, out of all the platforms, what platform that you've invested time in, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, so on and so forth, actually converted into clients, customers, and sales the most? And that changes over time, mind you.
It does. Instagram, Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and really word of mouth. That's where I got a lot of my clients from is word of mouth. And once I've worked with them, and then they start to the social media, it bring more traffic and clients to me.
That's great. Listen, word of mouth is the best marketing ever. It's like somebody knowing their favorite restaurant. Oh, before this place gets swamped, let me tell you about this great spot to eat at. And that's the best marketing, word of mouth, because that shows that you've done great previous service and things of that nature. Have you I'm sorry, my friends and always had, you mentioned a community, about producer community, and every producer has a set of friends they're on the phone with who are also producers, and they always talk about the community as a whole. My friendship group, and I have a question lined up with this. My freshman, freshman, I'm tripping like I'm in college again. My producer friend group, lately we've been on the phone and we're like, we don't understand why there is a degree of community toxicity here, but in other software, plugin, and hardware communities, there's a positivity, uplift, get gig centered minded community. Why do you think that the NPC community as a whole can't band together and be more supportive instead of gear elitist? Now, you can disagree with my viewpoint, but me and my friends have this debate. If you disagree, cool, tell me why. If you agree, cool, tell me why. Do you think that it's a fair statement to say, two-part question, that unfortunately there's a particular contingent upon NPC community members in general across different platforms that are more toxic and elitist than they are helpful?
I think that the NPC community it's kind of like a hive. It's kind of like a sorority. If you're a person who is tried and true to say that you make things happen in the NPC, some of those people it feels like they are not jealous, but they don't want outsiders to come in and take over their slot of what they think they have in the community. I think it's a lot of that grabbing the barrel syndrome. Kind of like you can't sit at my table kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've seen lately that it's clicking kind of situations going on, but I think that
You said clicking? What do you mean?
Yeah, like clicks.
Oh, clicks, yeah. I think here's the consensus me and my friends always say.
Okay.
I'm part of a Logic groups because I've used Logic, and I think Logic is great because the native instrument, their native plugins are awesome. Like I just use that. I export stems and do it because I'm primarily in Ableton and now with the MPC studio, laying down, going to my familiar place, Ableton, then throw some sauce to the other plugins. I'm a multi-platform type of person, but my friends and I chalked it down to this. The more gear-based communities that are really helpful are the communities where people are actually more so working professionals with that piece of software, with that piece of gear. And we feel that NPC communities, whether it be Facebook or anywhere, the reason why there's such this feeling of if you ask a question, you get trolled, or if you say something, you get trolled, or there's an elitist and any type of post and sarcasm, is because people aren't working professionals with that gear and they're more so hobbyists. What do you feel about that thought?
I agree. Because anybody, I think that mostly anybody can just pick up the and
oh, look at you. Listen, I know you're about to say, you try to be nice. I know what you're about to say. You try to be real nice.
Yeah, I gotta be careful with my words. But I think that there are some people that are not invested when they pick up an MPC, and now when they get into the community, they think that they're just better than everybody else. And I don't take my job as a producer and a YouTube content creator. I don't look at it as I shouldn't be able to help people. My whole purpose of it is to help people because at some point I didn't know how to use it, and I had to go find videos to figure out how to use it. And so my like I said, my YouTube is geared toward a little bit about it, but here's some other ways that you can use it, and it doesn't have to be one way. But yeah, I totally agree with your sentiment.
Yeah, my friends and I always say it. If you go to a Logic Pro group, a lot of engineers. Pro Tools group, hella engineers. Ableton group, a lot of EDM producers, a lot of DJs and things like that. They're literally like, we're at home in a week, between gigs, between clients, we're creating this product. Even the SP44 Rolling group. That's such a great community, and I've said this on a couple interviews before. That's such a great community that they band together, share tips, and then they actually sell out small venues and larger venues just playing beats off the SP44. And when I see these other communities, I'm like, oh my God, why is it the MPC community just like getting to this point?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
No, it's a head scratcher. I do want to get to something right here because it's very important to me right now. Tell me about Blessings by Zay 2. Tell me about this project. What gear did you make using this project? How much fun was it in this project? And I believe that every project has a story. Tell us about creating this Blessings by Zay 2 project.
Blessings by Zay 2 is part two of a compilation that I did. I did Blessings by 1. It was my first album that I put out by myself. I'm not really an artist, not really a rapper, not really a singer, but I can do it. And I got to a point where I wanted to make music. So Blessings by 2 produced by me about 60%. And then I work with a producer named Wugga. He is out of Ireland. He works with my group El Jefe, and he done some production on that album.
You said Ireland?
And Ireland.
That's lit.
He's one of the baddest. He's one of the baddest producers that I know. And he works out of Fruity Loops.
Mm-hmm.
And he can make that thing work.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting the FL Studio itch. I'm getting, but with the new features they release, I'm getting the itch. And if I buy FL Studio, all my young boys gonna make fun of me. See, I told you 10 years ago. See, I told you.
I started out on Fruity Loops, and what happened is they changed the UI in Fruity Loops, and then it would not work the way that I used it before. I probably used Fruity Loops probably 5-6 years, maybe 10.
Really?
But when the UI changed, I couldn't make a beat in here anymore. It just didn't work right. I went to another producer studio,
and he was
and he was
using
using Reason,
Yeah.
and he was
and he was
recording
recording in Reason,
and
it was
he had some
he had some fire recording, and
he made
he made beats as well, and his beats
crazy.
crazy.
So
So
I
I
transitioned
transitioned
to Reason
just
just
because I was like,
if
he got that kind of sound,
and I can't
and
use
I can't use Fruity
right now,
Loops right now,
let me try
Reason.
tried Reason
Tried Reason for a couple years,
and then
and then I moved from Reason to
The machine.
Machine,
and then
that's when I got the hardware and using hardware into my hardware on computers. And then okay.
Well, listen, what you just showed right now is a great example of somebody honing their production craft through different seasons and different eras of your skill growth. I want you to share some information and maybe some producers that are watching this that might get caught into the paralysis by analysis or the overthinking phase in their production growth process, which led you to the Kai MPC Key 61 and the using of the software processes. What would be your advice to the producer that may be stuck in a paralysis analysis? I don't want to try this, but I'm more comfortable with this, but I'm not growing what I'm comfortable with. Because a lot of producers say stuck in a DAW or stuck in a machine, and they know they want to grow to another level, but that paralysis by analysis gets them and they stay stuck and their sound stays the same. It happens to us all. We go through a growth and evolution process. I went from old school gear to Logic to Ableton to MPC and so on and so forth. But any advice that you would have for those producers?
Collaborate with
other producers
who use other equipment than you do.
because what
that does is
maybe you
can only export
from
MPC side,
but you got
to figure out how you get
somebody
who is using Logic.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're talking back and forth from what they're using back to you, it kind of helps you figure out how to better help them
from
their
side.
So
if they're
sending something
from Logic to you,
then
you got to figure out how to get into the MPC.
It kind
of makes you grow
in
figuring out how to work other
equipment
and other hardware and systems.
No, that's good advice.
Another thing I say is
don't get
stuck on one piece of equipment. Try other things,
and if you
don't like it, then sell it.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it. I'm not gonna lie, I've done it, and I've had I didn't get, like, for instance, I got the Ableton Push 2 when it first came out, and
love it.
I love Ableton. I couldn't do it. Just like some gear doesn't work for some producers, and again, it's about work. It's about individual workflow comfortability in general. But put me on Ableton and with my Mac by itself, I'm fine. The Push, my hands are big. I'm 6'6", almost 300 pounds. Those little buttons didn't do it for me. That's why I like the MPC. Give me that like any day. Give me something with bigger pads, but the buttons, I'm a big guy. May not look like that because I'm on video, but I'm a big guy. But yeah, like work what works for you, because my new gear purchase is going to be something that I know I can churn out stuff for. And the thing you said about collaboration is an important step, and I think everybody who watches this replay needs to understand the importance of production collaboration. It benefits you in so many ways. For instance, with me, when I had my laptop in Ableton, I would go in a studio session, and I'm from New York City, born and raised, still in New York City. I don't know how studio sessions are where you come from, but when you feel that pressure of artists in a room, and they're like, yo, give me a vibe, I need a new vibe. They don't want to hear loops. You can't depend on your little AI MIDI generators. You got to create a vibe in front of a room full of people where the weed is blowing and the energy is flowing, and you got to be able to create. Like I saw an interview with Zaytoven talking about production scenarios and artist comfort level. He said, you know, when Gucci comes in, no matter what's coming up on the board, he wants to make something from scratch, whereas Future wants to hear a selection, so on and so forth. So every producer needs to find their more comfortable vibe in their collaboration to do so. But nowadays, what do you find yourself really being able to churn out production work more so with? Like literally just churning out export stems into your DAW.
Straight out the box, I go MPC Live 2 and the Key 61. No question. Like if an artist calls and says I need 5 beats, R&B, this tempo, automatically, I have it to him by close of business.
That's beautiful.
Just because I know it so well. And let me tell you something that might break the internet. I like the push 2 better than the push 3.
Oh yeah, no, you're not. A lot of people say that, but tell me your reasons why.
I feel like they tried to read and will and try to miss. I think that the push 3 would have been better if it was able to work in conjunction with Ableton, just without switching from standalone back to regular.
Oh, you're talking about the standalone version of the push 3 versus the regular version. So you have the standalone version.
Yeah.
Oh, you went all out. You went all out, brother. Yo, you're one of the rare ones. I thought most people are upgrade kitters. What I call people that just bought the controller version and it's like, no, we'll just deal with that later. Like, what made you say, you know what? I'm going to invest big because that's a half of a Rossum. That's half of a Rossum SV1200. So for those who know, they know. I'm not going to throw out figures, but what? Because you thought it was going to be what was advertised, like a true standalone piece. Now, for somebody who doesn't have a standalone Ableton Push 3 and doesn't even plan to have it, what is the transition between controller mode and standalone mode issues?
Well, like you can take it and unplug it and work off from it, but you still got to bring it back, plug it to the computer, and then transfer it over to your Ableton. I would like to be able to.
You can't export your projects to a SD card and then open it up in your.
There's no SD card.
Oh, there isn't.
But you can over the air transfer it over to your Ableton, but it just don't work as streamless as I would have liked it to. I'd like to make a beat in it and export it out and be done. But there's no song mode in the push 3, so you have to go back into your software to kick your song out.
Speaking of that, out of all the platforms, what's your favorite song mode and why? Because that's a good question.
The Force.
I've never used the Force.
Force has the best song mode because you have a arranger on the screen, and so as you build your tracks out, you put it where you need it, how you want it, and then export it out in arranger mode. And it goes back to the way that MPC does, like in the song mode, but you can still see the arranger on the screen.
Mm-hmm. See, I have a feeling, and this is speculation, that they're not going to make a new Force, and they're just going to abandon it. I'm mad at it because I love the arranger mode that I've seen on the Force. And I would rather a Force than a push. And the buttons on the Force are smaller than the push, but I'm so used to MPC and Ableton, I would rather a Force than a push.
Right now I'm favoring the Force over the push 3.
Oh, and you went all in.
I'm making myself use the push 3 because I paid the money for it.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. You don't think you can get a decent flip off a push 3 nowadays?
Yeah, I think you could.
I think you might sell your push 3. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking. Are you sure?
I'm gonna stick it. I'm gonna stick it because I have not reached my potential in Ableton yet.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk more offline, but I would have no problem. I love the thing about Ableton is different from any other platforms. And again, I'm not hired by Ableton, but Ableton, if you're listening, please holler at your boy. We would love a sponsorship and be hired, but that's another conversation because we're content creators. Back on track.
Okay.
Ableton is set up to where everybody will have a different workflow. So it's a blank canvas. I always liken it to like a Tascam Porter. The cells are the cells to capture ideas. I don't use that. I stay in the what is that? The session mode and arrangement. I stay in arrangement mode.
Arrangement mode.
I stay in arrangement mode. I keep my templates up. 2 drum racks. I'm a sound designer, so I make custom drum racks, and I got an ASR 10 and a bunch of vintage gear and stuff like that. I make my drum racks. But the simplicity of the simpler. Take a sound, drag it. I don't chop in there like that. I just like play. I find my thing and I play, and I do it old school. I just play it out and then put it there, export the audio, remove the plugin next, and build from that point. Then copy, paste, arrange, and go, and drop my template of effects. Because I've been, like I tell my daughter all the time, hey, baby, both you and I are blessed with ADHD, which means we don't have time in our brain to function with like menial things. We need to get the idea out of our head, put it down, and then cut the fat later. It's like the old Pac video when he was yelling at the other artist. And I was trying to suggest producers to adopt that Pac mindset. He was in a studio and was like, y'all playing, y'all talking, y'all doing this. Listen, we not engineers, we not producers. Let them play with the sounds later. Hear the beat, drop it on it, next. And I wish more producers would adopt that mindset, that productivity mindset, especially in a professional capacity. Because I think that, I'm not getting back on that conversation because I want to get back to certain conversations with you, but that goes to the running a business mindset from a hobbyist mindset. I think that people need to function more so on the, hey, what is the best form of productivity that I can create a schedule on daily? If you're selling beats on BeatStars, I am a beat leasing guy, then you need to have a schedule. If I'm an engineer and I work with a group of artists and I'm trying to get placements, then there's a schedule. If you're a person saying I'm trying to master, let's say this, if I had the Ableton Push 3, I would hate it. But if I had the Ableton Push 3, I would be like, you know what, this is the only piece of gear right now, then I'm going to knock out 300 beats. Mathematically, 300 beats is 5 beats a day for 20 days in a month. I mean, 100 beats. 100 beats is 5 beats a day for 20 days in a month. That's 100 beats. 5 times 20 is 100. Hope my math's right on camera. Great. Amen. Moving forward. So yeah, that would be the mastery of it. Like if I was in your studio right now and I had to pick any piece of gear, I'd probably pick the MPC Key 61 because it feels like it has some of Logic's instruments, some of the bass plugins, and I can just get it directly in and out. And thank God for that hard drive, babe. But moving forward, let's talk now more about your upbringing that shaped your sound and what got your sound to the point that it's at right now based on how you were brought up, the things you were around. Tell me about your influences.
I never wanted to sound like everybody else. I can never make Beethoven beats. I can never make anything like what's on the radio. And so my style is just my style. And so when I meet an artist or artist X with me, it's based off of feeling. And they vibe with what I got, and they vibe with what I do. They have an idea of where to go with the skeleton that I provided. And most times, if an artist is a true artist, they can make heat as long as we have that connection. What's really pushed my style? I'm from Florida. I'm from the South. But being in the military, I've been around people from everywhere, especially New York. One of my best friends is from New York.
But see, that's the cheat code. Military relationships are the cheat code because you guys get the gumbo of sound, style, and everybody's personality. That's the cheat code production-wise.
And you learn about where people are from and what music they listen to. And, they recommend artists from their area. And so you kind of hear different stuff you probably wouldn't have listened to before. And so what I like from the live studio and my music going forward is just to continue making music that feels good to me.
Yeah, that's all that matters. I want people to hear you, though. So let me share this real quick so people can understand who they are watching right now. A big shout out to everybody in the MPC Key group. But check this out right quick. See, that's the face of somebody actually working.
Spice sample, and then I'm going to chop it up, and then I'm going to make a beat that way.
That's a lit sample, by the way. That's a fire sample. Let me fast forward. ain't nothing like that face you got in your face when you hear that vibe that you created. But yo, let me build on it. Let me build on it. Going through all the sounds. Now you make me miss my key. Watching this makes me miss my key. The memories.
It's a beast. It's a beast.
Hit a final beat.
Imagine making 453.
Imagine you try to play a video and then a commercial messes it up. Like, just imagine. Just imagine. But yeah, like, that's the fun. That's the vibe. That's what that's all need to have. And I'm glad that your influences really drove you to the point as to where you are right now. How do you stay as a business owner in production, a production business owner? How do you stay above the float when it comes to people saying, oh, it's oversaturated? How do you stay above the level of saturation to carve out your niche that you utilize to create the word of mouth marketing for your brand?
I stay in my lane. I don't pay attention to anything negative that's populating out there. I try to stay positive. I try to stay around people who are like-minded and do the same thing that I do. I try to stay on schedule as much as possible. And just keep working so that I improve my craft. Because I'm not like Kanye or Havoc or any of those guys. I'm just my own entity. So I want to continue to build and grow and make the music that I hear in my brain. Because this might sound funny to you. What I hear in my brain is not what I play when I pick up instrument. Instrument plays itself and create while I'm in the creation mode. So by the time I try to chase what I've heard in my head, it's totally different than what I output.
I mean, listen, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's because a vibe, I hate that word, but let me just use another word because everybody's like, yeah, the vibe. I don't want to use that word. But anyway, the energy, I can't even use energy because I'm just getting on myself. I hate hearing familiar words, but basically your initial mental and emotional intent grows into something different. And that's what, I don't find that strange or funny at all. I mean, that's just a creative process. Like, but then you're talking to a dude that studies jazz documentaries. I studied blues documentaries. I studied heavy metal, like Metallica documentaries. I study everything because my thing is more psychological and I'm super cerebral. Plus I do social media management and production. So I always have to not listen to all I know. I have to absorb everything else to understand and be a better person. That's why I don't understand why people are clout chasing and things like that. And that's why I don't have a problem with particular degrees of gatekeeping, as long as the gatekeeping isn't to push people away, like people of our skin tone have been pushed away repeatedly, but I'm not going to get into that. But let's get into your goals. Now, you said you're a content creator proudly, and you are a content creator because you have your channel and you're doubling down on YouTube. What are your current goals? There's a two-parter. What are your current goals? First question, with YouTube, other than the obvious, hey, get to this and get to that numbers-wise? Well, like, what are your specific goals? And the second part of that question is, where do you think the tides are turning for somebody in production as to how they need to evolve with these new YouTube changing times, changing algorithms, changing formats, new shorts opportunities with shorts opening up? I heard where some people are going to be invited to where their links are going to be directly in the shorts and things of that nature. Pardon me for like the meet the press questions, but that's just me in a nutshell.
You got to beat the algorithm. You got to figure out how to work around the obstacles that they're putting in place to block you from the next level. What I plan for my YouTube page is to monetize it. I'm about 130 subscribers short of being able to monetize my channel. I reached all the other goals.
Oh, so you reach watch time?
So I reached the watch time.
That's a beautiful thing because that's technically harder to crack than subscribers. So that means people are paying attention.
Yeah. I'm averaging about 60 subscribers a month.
That's good.
Which I've never seen before because previously I had probably 30 subscribers when I dug into making my YouTube my main thing. So I'm close to 500 subscribers already in a year and a half.
That's good work. That's good work. And people don't understand. For those watching, people may think that, oh, I can do. No, you can't. And everybody can't do that. And YouTube will tell you within the YouTube Studio app the percentile of creators. Like, because I have a YouTube channel. I didn't double down on it. I'm usually a TikTok guy because I usually funnel. I'm a social media manager, different platforms. I have different personalities on different platforms, meaning I do different things. And that's the blessing of ADHD. Amen. You know what I'm saying? The blessing of ADHD. I can do multiple things. I'm a social media manager, so on and so forth, content creator on Facebook. I don't know if we follow each other on Facebook, but you'll see on my posts. I'm a natural engager. I'm saying that to say this. It's not easy, but it's doable once you know what you're passionate about. I hear a lot of people talking about, oh my, go one niche, no niche. Oh, the other rules. There are no rules. If you're your true and 100% self, you're going to attract what you're going to attract. You're good. Like, for instance, everybody got that friend who always dress bummy, but they got girls. We don't understand it. How? But how are you pulling? Somebody looks better than half of the people I've been around in my life. How are you pulling? It's just natural personality draws your tribe. And that's how you find your tribe. And not to get on a social media soapbox, I'm really proud of you for that, because the excitement that you have says that you're not perturbed by what the algorithm states or what the current trend states. You're also in your lane, which brings me to this question. What content of yours do you believe resonated specifically with your tribe that did your page well to get to those numbers?
I did a video on should you or should you not buy the island instrument S2400.
Oh, so you still have that?
Yeah.
Oh, and you want a roster though?
That was the if I can have any gear, I just have it.
Okay. But back to the videos. Don't let me derail into the whole SP. With that, we're gonna talk about that in a second. But we're gonna talk about that. Hold up. Mental note. We're gonna talk about that in a second for sure.
That is the video that sparked people to see what else I'm talking about, because I don't know why. It's just that people want to know about the S2400. And being that some people know that I use Akai and they want to hear what I had to say about that piece of equipment, because people always saying, should I buy A versus B because I want to use it for this. I don't use my video in that way. I buy what I think I would create on.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it works together with something else, then cool. If it don't, then I use it by itself. That's one of the videos that kind of projected my channel to go crazy.
I had a consultation with a producer last week, and he was like, yeah, what videos should I post? What this should I post? What content should I post? And I said, full stop. I asked him, and I'm saying this to you so I can ask you a question. I asked him, I said, brother, if you put on the camera, what would you have the most fun posting? Like, real talk. What would you have the most, like, it would be a joy. It would be nothing to you to just pop up the camera, post. And he told me, I said, do that for 60 days and assess the analytics weekly. Do that for 60 days. Have a call to action, though, to see if you're converting. Because I'm a big, firm believer. And again, for producers, anything that's involved in my show is going to be production stories to expose people to say, hey, look at this guy. He's lit. Hear his music. Follow him on Spotify. Support his stuff. Stream his projects. Check out his podcast. But at the same time, we have to be more business-minded as producers. Sorry, not sorry. And we're all learning, and nobody knows everything because the internet changes every 3 months. Changes every 3 months. They're trying to ban the app actively as we speak. You know what I'm saying? But that's another conversation entirely. But he's sharing what works best for him. He posted a video with a piece of gear that a lot of people want in lust over, the Isla Instruments SP2400, and that shot his channel because his goal is monetization. And so, speaking to you, if there was no numbers involved, I'm not saying they are in your process, because you said you don't chase the algorithm. So, what videos would you like to post and to say, you know what, I'm having a blast?
Day in the life making beats. Because I do that anyway. So if I just cut on the camera and just show the world my process of me making beats. I'd just do that in post.
And you know why? You know why they'll work more? Because people don't see people just being themselves in these videos. I think a lot of creators, especially production creators, camera on gear. Let me gloat. I got the 3000. I got the this. I got the this. I got the this. I got the that. And then when it comes to themselves, they're not themselves. Here's the best channel I always suggest people to join. And I didn't understand this creator at first. And I'm just saying this based on his point. There's a creator that everybody should subscribe to if you're a music producer, especially an MPC producer. I did not understand him, but he proves the point that if you be yourself, you will be monetized on YouTube and you will get paid on YouTube. Your man, Poly Popo. Your man, Poly Popo. This Poly Popo. That's who it is. Bro, Poly, I did not understand him. I have a short attention span, so I was like, oh, somebody's speaking this slow. But when I tell you, that man be putting out the most subtle volume of library of information in his own way. No fancy lights, no fancy clothes, no fancy background. And he has amassed a following where we will defend him to tooth and nail in his endeavors. And he proves that when you are being yourself, totally yourself, not with the glitz and glam, you will not only get monetized, you can have your business and you can have a community. And I think he's starting a school program or something last I heard in his town, MPC based program. I don't know. I think I saw a video of him saying that. He proves that you can build a community off of YouTube by being yourself. Right. He breaks every rule that somebody would have because he's himself. And I'm glad you're saying, get ready with me videos. I think they need to see, and part of me putting out there, I think they need to see more professional black men in a production capacity that isn't with the nonsense hoopla. How you say close a business. What people don't understand, COB is super important, especially when it comes to client satisfaction. How can I get these deals done? How can I finish this product? How can I send it off for proof and so on and so forth? I think that's super important content for people to share to the community. And I'm glad that you're going to, I don't know if you're going to start doing it. I'm just begging you, please start doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because that'll show the process and it'll be like the DJ content creators I know, because I manage a big DJ group. And the ones that get the more corporate DJ bookings are the ones that do get ready with me content, gig log content. And I think that's a great strategy for you because you told me when I turn on the camera, I'm passionate. That's not made up. That's not pre-planned. That's just you. And I think you should quadruple down on that content.
I like it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, listen. I always tell people you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to talk to, and you never know who you're going to learn from. And I learned a lot from this conversation and stuff like that. But before I get to the next segment, because I do want to talk about your podcast, purpose thereof, how's that SP2400? Pardon me for gear lusting. how's that SP2400?
I love it. It's one of those pieces of where you can pick it up and you talk in your brain and say, how would I do A? And you look at the machine and it's simple and you press the buttons and it happens. What they did with it was they took the brains and the functionality of the 1200 and made it into today's made it where you don't have to want for anything. Everything that you want in the 2400 is right there. You have the option to go back into your computer to work into your job. You have the option to. I'm trying to. My camera.
Yeah, your camera's out. Listen, your camera's doing effects. Don't hate. Keep on going. I'm not hating. I like it.
For you,
it's making you animated. It's making you doing an action sequence without you doing moving. So keep it. I don't care. Your camera's making it happen. Do you? This is cool.
You're able to work any flow that you want to without hammering up your workflow. So.
Well, let's get to the question that every MPC producer on planet Earth. How does it make them drums thump?
It bops. And I don't know what's happening. And I don't know what makes it pop, but I know when you plug that record player into it and you sample, it's doing its thing.
So what about, have you ever imported just clean kicks and snares into it just to test it out? Because that's me. If I had SP12 for 2400, I'm like, let me sample some vinyl. All right, let me get some kicks out of Logic. Let me see how it dumps. I would totally test the sound architecture.
Well, I have folders of sounds and kicks and from everywhere. So whenever I pull it up in the S100, I don't always know where the sounds come from, but I'm able to search through my folders and pull it in and just manipulate it from there. It's never failed me yet.
Hey, so you think it's a great investment for those, especially if they want the sound.
It's a great investment, especially if you're looking at the price of the 1200. It's one fourth the price.
Yeah, it is. What is it, like 1200 or 1400?
When I got mine, it was 1400. But I got in on the process before they put it into major production. So I got the.
You got the OG first batch.
Yeah, I got the first batch.
And I think great companies like Isla is a great thing to have in a production ecosystem, because it has that mom and pop energy. Like it has that. I'm going to show you what I'm in my process. I forgot what the owner's name was. His Instagram page.
Brad.
His Instagram page is a lesson for every content creator, showing the process. Get ready with me. And when he went to the factory and he showed the slots, I'm like, why doesn't Akai do this? Like, why doesn't Roland do this? Like, why doesn't any of the other companies do this? Because that's beautiful marketing.
Because they're major corporations looking at the bottom end, the top and the bottom end. And like you said, Isla is that mom and pop deal doing it out of his house. And the thing about Brad that I like about it is that he's not just a guy who woke up one day and said, I'm going to create this SP1200 deal. He's like solidified in the music industry and making equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So he's if you look at his page, he's like all these old equipment, and he's taking them apart and making them brand new again. And I'm talking about like truckloads of old equipment. Amen. He got it in the warehouse. So he has a love for what makes the equipment work.
Yeah, your camera's having a field day. I think it's cool. I'm just gonna put it out there. I think it's cool. Move forward. Now, I'm a producer in the fact that I always encourage all my production friends, can you please release projects and or singles and or your gifts to the world and not keep them trapped in your hard drive? We're in the first quarter of this year. A lot of people think I didn't start in January. No, we're in March. It's the first quarter. Let me ask you a question. What releases can people be on the lookout from Beats by Lonze?
I have a new album called The Zay and Wugger Files.
That's what's going on. So you produced that or he produced that?
He produced it.
But like some people be making FL Studio hum like they got like 50 years of analog gear.
He can make it bang.
Man.
And I sat through some classes with him, and I just had to throw my hands up like, bro, this is nothing that I was doing 10 years ago. It's crazy.
But you was on Fruity Loops like what, 3 or 5?
Yeah. I was on 4. I think 2. Like 2 LE, 4, and then it changed to something else.
Yeah.
But I can't make a beat in there.
Well, I'm glad that mind you, sidebar. Yeah, post that, and I'm not getting copyright strikes, so I will put up the flyer and mention the project. I'm not catching any content ID bugs. Okay. Yeah. So how does it feel releasing projects on Bandcamp versus on streaming platforms? Because I think it's a super smart move.
I'm glad you asked that. I just saw an artist crying on the social media saying that their 40 million views got taken down off of Spotify.
Wow.
Because they said that she was manipulating views and listens using bots. And this lady is just a lover of hip hop and don't know anything about bots. But anyway, they took her 40 million streams off of Spotify.
That's crazy.
And she said that she made about $300 just off of streaming. Me personally, I probably sold 75 of my album, and I made $300.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like just on that album. So going straight to the consumer out the trunk is always been my go-to, because I know that the streaming is only gonna nickel and dime. You're not gonna make the money that you put into recording the album.
Mm-hmm.
You know the cost of equipment, the cost of buying a beat, putting it together, putting it on the platforms. It costs money.
And I like Bandcamp.
So
I've used Bandcamp for 10 years. I get my customers' information so we can stay in contact. They become part of my community. I get the sale. Bandcamp takes a little 15, and then the PayPal processing takes that little money. But you can actually build a living. And I had this conversation with Quick Strike in the other interviews, and these interviews most definitely have been a lot of business forward, but that's me. I don't understand why people aren't focused on building a community, and I think Bandcamp is one of the places where you can actually build a community and stay in contact with your customers. Because like I always said, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, everybody can say, you know what, we don't like you, cancel you. But if you have your customer's email address and their contact information, you can always roll out and release stuff. So I totally agree with you with the get it out the trunk mentality, because I'm of the age, as our grays, show us, where I used to dub cassettes and flip them and sell them. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I used to just dub cassettes. My friends used to CD burn. When the burners first came out, they used to have all the CD burners lined up, and they would just burn, and they would take their mixtapes on the train in New York and sell them for like $5, $10 a pop. Getting out the trunk is financially sexy to me, and nobody ain't gonna put no hard work into no beats and no hard work. We all about passion, but we got to be about business.
Correct.
And I don't understand why more people don't do that. That was a super smart move on Bandcamp. That leads me to my next question. You have a brand as a producer, service provider with production-based services. Now making a transition to release your project. What are things that you'll learn, projects and more projects moving forward? What are you learning more about yourself in your artistry versus your production side?
I never wanted to be an artist, but I love music, and for some reason, when I'm making beats, I want to push it further. So I push myself to have something to make songs. So I want to say about 5 years ago, I said I'd never make another album. But I kept getting the writing bug and the song bug, and I keep hearing beats, and I'm like, man, I can make a song after that. And I have never stopped since the last album that I made.
And that's the thing. I have a lot of, everybody has their producer group of friends. I said this before. I tell some of my producer friends all the time, I'm like, bro, how many of our beats and our drafts and our song ideas are going to die in our laptops or in our desktops? I
have thousands.
That's what I mean. And I don't know if you saw this, but DJ Jazzy Jeff has a video clip when he talks about independent artists and how they blew up. And he says, you should die empty musically. You should give some away, sell some, but get all the music out, and then your community will come directly to you and they'll formulate it. And somebody posted this on one of my social media posts. They were like, yeah, they were talking about the TikTok ban issues, stuff like that. It was like, yeah, well, you can't make a living off of social media. She said, you can't make a living off of social media because not people aren't into that. I said, I said, People sell kitten calendars. People sell snow globes. People sell shoelaces. There's a market for anybody if you have the talent and the passion to attract that market. But tell me about your podcast. I've been feeling to get to this through a whole conversation. What is it about? What's the name of it? When did you start it? Why did you start it?
Started a podcast about 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the podcast is Grind 329 by Lonze Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I interview all of my producer friends. I interview all of my friends who do great things in the community. I interview all my friends who are business minded, smart, who care about people and are just good people. And I think be introduced to those people. So I made the podcast so that they can kind of get some shine. Because a lot of them don't really like put themselves out there. And it's just another avenue to preview and show people what music we do and what to show that there's other things we can do in the world other than just the same things as you see all the time.
Yeah. So, what is the frequency of your episode drops? Is it monthly, bi-weekly, weekly, or quarterly?
I try to drop every month. My last podcast I did the end of last year, but I've been very busy in the part of the year, and so I haven't really put a but I do have about three guests that's in the pipeline that I just need to put it together so I can do it.
Now, since I'm big about monetization, 'cause that's all I talk about every day, and I annoy all my friends, whether they pastors, ministers, they own dog grooming services. Tell other producers, just because I want to open the eyes of producers. And that's why when I interview other producers, I always say there are many different lanes. I said it in the beginning of the conversation. Tell people in terms of business-wise, like the monetization sources that are set up for your business. I'll give you an example. For mine, I do social media management, get paid monthly from different people in different industries. Then I have social media consultation that brings in some money. Then I get paid off of Meta, paid off of TikTok. I have some TikTok subscribers, and then I'm paid off of Meta on performance bonus. And then I have a whole bunch of beats that are BeatStars and have been there for a while, and that's a monthly conversion rate. And then I do custom sound designs and things of that nature. That's how my business is set up for my monetizations. But just to show other producers that there are other ways than the usual ways of the industry that they can run something, give them an idea of what your portfolio is.
Well, I like to sell beats to YouTube creators because when you have intros, instead of using beats that could take them down off of your site, I do custom for YouTubers. A lot of my clientele comes from word of mouth. But once I do something for one person, then they recommend me to somebody else. I probably didn't say this in the interview earlier, but I've been DJing for like pretty much my whole life. I've been DJing.
Oh, so listen, brother, you didn't tell me that. We can talk because I grew up DJing and I just recently put a pause on it after having a kid. But we can talk about that. But keep on going. We'll talk about that next.
But professionally, I started DJing in 2014, and a lot of my money and income comes in from DJing outside of producing.
Would you tell these people that it's a sick conversion rate with DJing if you're a producer? Like I'm telling the producers, learn how to DJ. Like if you don't, it's a sick conversion rate for customers. Sidebar.
And that's probably another reason why I got off of producing in machine so much because I was DJing. So that took
up a lot of my time. Dragging equipment and
going
to parties and stuff. What else? Oh, beatsbylanze.com.
Oh no, we're gonna show him. I'm gonna set you up right. We're gonna show him right now. I'm gonna set you up right so people can know.
And
here he goes right here, beatsbylanza.com. You can get him at check for him online at Beats by Lanza. The Grind 329 podcast is there. Release the Kraken in Heaven project, Blessings by Zay 2 project, Cerberus and Wooga and Moo and Zay Ascension EP. He's on Spotify, El Jefe at Bandcamp, El Jefe at YouTube, DJ Zay Smooth Mixes, Ivy League Entertainment website for his other services, Blessing by Zay Album 1, Beats by Lanza, YouTube, his Twitter and Instagram, Twitch, and BeatStars. He has everything set up. You see this, ladies and gentlemen, producers? Everybody doesn't know everything, but this is full setup. Somebody clicks on your link in bio, look at these services. Look at the angles that he's providing of different things that he provides. Videos are great, but having your business set up like that where people can know, hey, I can go to him for this. Let me go for this, for that. That's just super important.
Tappy card.
It's called a copy.
That is the same thing as that you just pulled up.
I take
this to my gig.
I put it
to your phone.
It brings
all of my information
to your phone,
and you can say whatever you want to say.
It's called a copy card, like copy and paste?
Tappy.
Tappy.
Tappy card. Okay, you learn something new every day. Did not know that. That's lit. Tappy card. So it's the physical representation of your link in bio for your services that you can give the client, to show the client so they can put their phone and get the information.
That's
beautiful.
That's correct.
Beautiful. That's literally the credit card version of a QRC code. That's lit. That's lit.
Yeah. That's what it is. And it takes you straight to either my phone or
my
website or whatever you want to contact.
No, that's lit. That's super, super lit. We'll talk more offline about the DJ stuff, but I want everybody to get the opportunity to hear last parting words of encouragement, but most definitely for producers, and then most definitely things that you have coming up within this year that you're going to knock out that people should check out for. The floor is yours. As a matter of fact,
I'll tell you, you probably should invest in a group of people that do the same thing that you do so that you can run creative ideas against them. And then that will kind of tell you whether you're on the right track or if you can modify it in some way. But it's a good thing to have a group of friends that you can bounce ideas off of, and then they can bounce ideas off of you to kind of give you a better sense of the next direction. Another thing I'll tell you too is that I found myself getting burnt out because I was doing everything. You know, I was making the beats, I was mixing and producing the albums and making the videos and doing the promo. So sometimes you got to also ask for help and also continue to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself and you are out of the picture, then everything stops. So you got to be healthy. You got to continue to do things outside of the studio. You can't just be cooped up in the house. You got to exercise. You got to eat right. And you have to pay attention to what your body's telling you, because it will give up on you and it will tell you that you're doing too much if you're doing too much. So continue to take care of your family, your belief system, whether you believe in God or something. You got to have belief system in something. Those are some of the things that I'd say to do to keep you afloat and keep you pushing forward.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for taking part in this episode. We will most definitely be talking offline, but everybody give it up to Beats by Lanze. Hit his link in bio. He has the digital tappy card and the physical tappy card. Check out his new project out with Wooga. Check him out on YouTube. Please support his YouTube channel. Listen, it don't cost you nothing to share his YouTube videos. It don't cost you nothing to share his project. Share, support, independent production, DJ, and artists. I can say all three now for you, and content creator. 4. Everybody give it up. Thank you so much, brother. Everybody, thanks for joining the show. Please check out his project, share his project. Another episode of Making Better Tracks in the Bank. I am Khalif Wins. This is Beats by Lonze. Have a great day. Peace, and we out.